there, my name is Francis Sylvie, and this is a Producer's Corner. Today I'm going to be talking about the producer Butch Vig. Now, Butch Vig started off getting into music at an early age playing the keyboard, but eventually he got into classic rock like The Who and The Smiths, and because of that, he picked up the drums. Now, as playing an instrument for most of his childhood life, after he finished high school, oddly enough, he went to go study film at the University of Wisconsin. Now, when he was there doing film, he started to do a lot of sounds and scores for a couple different movies, and that is what initially got him into sound. As his interest in sound developed, he started getting into recording local bands in the area of Wisconsin. In 1979, Vig was a member of the band Spooner, releasing his and their first EP, Cruel School. In 1984, Vig and fellow member of Spooner, Steve Marker, formed Smart Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. The studio finally gave the band a place to work in, but the band itself was on a steady decline. Vig then decided to form a new band called First Person. First Person then led to the side project Firetown. Firetown soon became Vig's #1 priority, and in no time at all, they were signed to Atlantic Records. When Firetown was signed to Atlantic, Atlantic hired the producer Michael Fondelli to work with them. Now, the first album went all right when they were working with them. Second album didn't really go so well. But here's the thing. When they were doing those sessions, Butch Vig picked up a lot about production and therefore got so interested into it that became his full-time career. And he started working out with like little small local bands in Wisconsin like Martial. But his first main really big like high-profile gigs were the Smashing Pumpkins' Gish and Nirvana's Nevermind. Now, Vig is especially known for incorporating overdubs and double tracking in Nirvana's Nevermind. Now, a funny story about this is that Kurt Cobain was very adamant and against double tracking his vocals. Now, the only way Butch could ever get Kurt to double track his vocals was to tell him that John Lennon did it as well. So every time Kurt Cobain would complain about double tracking vocals, Butch would say, "Hey, but John Lennon did it." After these two huge production successes, where Cobain was quoted to say that Butch Vig recorded the album perfectly, and Billy Corgan also praised Butch's work on the Smashing Pumpkins' Gish, he then went on to work on Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream, as well as a couple very big albums by Sonic Youth, their 1992 album Dirty, and their 1994 experimental jet set, Trash and No Star. After producing these couple albums, Vig took a break from his production life and formed the band Garbage. Now, Garbage was a very big grunge band during the 90s, and they had a couple really big singles during that time. They weren't really too huge as far as influence goes when it comes to rock, but they're worth noting. Butch really didn't do much production when he was in Garbage, but right after Garbage in 2003, he worked with a group called AFI and produced their album Sing the Sorrow. Now, AFI was around before Sing the Sorrow for a couple years, actually, but AFI really didn't break ground until this album came out, with such hits like Girls Not Grey. Since then, Butch has produced bands such as Jimmy Eat World, Against Me, Green Day, Foo Fighters, and Muse. At the end of the day, you have to say that Butch Vig is probably one of the most influential producers when it comes to alternative movement. You know, actually getting Kurt Cobain to do what you say and, you know, having the opportunity to work with people like Dave Grohl and the Smashing Pumpkins with Billy Corgan and all that jazz. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and I truly admire his work. Thank you for joining me.